Greetings, hello, hi. I'm about to do a disaster. So, I'm about to create a disaster because I have here me having calculated how to convert family tried and true cookie recipe into a cookie cake. I have never made a cookie cake before. I have not made a regular cake in God knows how long. This is destined for disaster, and in case you doubt that this is going to be a fucking disaster, my main takeaway from all the research I did was, and I quote, "Slightly reduced amount of sugar and proportions are pretty Gucci." God help me. No idea if you can hear that, but that's one of the many reasons this is destined to be a disaster is I have not even dug out any of the ingredients yet, so I have no idea if I even have what I need. That's what I'm going to do now. So as far as I'm aware, I need flour, white sugar, brown sugar, eggs, butter, not bicarbonate soda, baking soda, vanilla extract, and salt. And some of these say that I should also use cornstarch, but I know for a fact I don't have that, so fuck that. So let's wing it. No, whiny baby, you're not being out. No. Stop being whiny baby. So, got all the shit. That's good, I guess. Fuck me, I hate that. I guess we're recording this in parts now, because I did not have enough space on my phone, and so it very suddenly stopped recording. Luckily, because I'm using just my phone's front camera, I noticed immediately, and I had to wait for it to clear a whole bunch of space. You've really not missed much of excitement, just me winging it and guessing how much flour and baking powder, soda, I don't know, one of the two. Because also I want to do a double layered cookie cake with homemade icing. So I've got butter sitting waiting to be added. Sugar has already been added, it was 200 grams total. I did 75 of white sugar and the rest brown sugar. An egg and an egg yolk all whisked up and ready to go. And I did 250 grams of flour with a teaspoon of baking powder. And I think that's about everything, so I'm going to combine it all. Oh, and we've got about 150 grams of salt in butter, because that's just what was here. That's what was already used. I don't want to dig out a new butter for this. Bone out the teeth. God, I hate myself. That butter was not softened enough from sitting out for a while, but oh well. I'm gonna keep going anyway, because I'm an idiot. Shoved it in for like 25 seconds or some shit like that, just enough to actually, soften it like it's meant to be. Why did I do this? This was a bad idea from the outset. I know I say this every time, but I came into this so confident. Yeah, turns out that part of making a cake also involves watching my cat throw up 3 times and having to clean that up. And also I added like 40 grams more of butter, but I completely melted it because fuck that, it was not mixing. I've not added any chocolate chips yet, and I also realized that I forgot to preheat the oven because I'm a moron. We're really doing well at 2 AM, y'all. Also, the dough is still looking incredibly like cookie dough, so I'm just kind of hoping this isn't a disaster. Just ate a bit of the dough that fell on the counter. Still tastes exactly like our cookie recipe, so we're doing good. Harry Potter and the audacity of this bitch, like, really? We once again ran out of storage space on my phone, but now I'm going to do the baking paper thing and then sort out the cake tins or whatever. So, we now have disaster cake 1 and disaster cake 2. I forgot to spread out that lump of dough on the top. After I have done that, I'm gonna shove these bad boys in the oven, and then I'm gonna start on the icing. Because I've never actually made a cookie cake before, I've just put them in at 190 degrees, and I'm putting them in for 10 minutes. Obviously, I don't think that'll be enough time. But I'm going to leave them in for 10 minutes and then I'm going to check on them to see how they're doing, because I am genuinely expecting this to be an absolute disaster. But now it's time to start on the icing. To my absolute relief, we have unsalted butter. We have a stick of unsalted butter. Trust me, making buttercream, icing, frosting, whatever, with salted butter, you taste the difference and it's not a good difference. So, butter. And an approximate fuck ton of icing sugar. I just quickly checked on the cookie cake in the oven because I work really slowly, so 10 minutes had indeed already passed. They're actually looking not bad. They are definitely rising way out of their tiny cake tins, but I don't care because I also did like the little usual stabby in the middle. They were obviously very much not ready, but I tasted the batter and holy shit, way better than I was expecting. Also, onto the icing. Basically, it seems that the general rule of thumb is to use about... Hello, Toffee. Impromptu visit from the cat. Don't worry, I'll wash my hands again after this. But Toffee is an attention-seeking old lady. We need to give her attention. But yes, I can't remember what I said. The general rule of thumb is however much butter you have, basically double the amount of icing sugar, so that's what we're gonna do. So First of all, there are now 3 cats around here. I literally heard cats. Cake's still looking good. Also, curious cat about to come up here and cause problems. So, knives, no. Okay, so update. One of the cakes is done, but the one on the bottom shelf needs a bit more time, so I'm gonna leave that in for like 3 minutes. In the meantime, the fucking scale has turned off. Yay, that's not what I needed. This is what we call winning. In case you haven't guessed, I still have no idea what I'm doing. I've never known what I'm doing. I am an entire fraud in the shape of a person. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to me as a person. There are almost definitely better ways to do this, but am I smart? No, I have never been smart. I've never claimed to be smart. If you thought I was smart, think again. I am thriving. If by thriving, I mean not even surviving. And I actually currently, behind the scenes, have the butter literally just sitting under a fucking lamp that I'm using to light the rest of me, because otherwise the lighting would be horrendous. And it's already bad. So that goes to show, doesn't it? And these, my friends, are what we in the business call good enough. Good enough for not knowing what I'm doing. I'm leaving the cakes to cool over there. And now I'm gonna wipe this place up because I'm just gonna show you the mess I fucking made doing this. See, this is what we in the business call fucking professional. Nothing like absolutely everything being a mess, and yes, that is the beverage I've been drinking. Hashtag not sponsored. That is going to start on the icing sugar though now, or the buttercream icing. Can my brain be functional for like 3 seconds, please? We have our softened butter. If I just do that. Why did I choose to do it that way? There are like 20,000 other ways I could have done this. But I've committed now. Stir up the butter a little bit, splash more icing sugar everywhere, butter all over my fingers, and begin to immediately regret my decision. That's how to bake, folks. No, I'm gonna wash my hands. So a quick question, do y'all that have mixer taps actually have, you know, mixer taps? Or do you have a mixer tap which is basically just a hot tap and a cold tap stacked in a trench coat? Because I just, like, ow. Anyways, getting distracted as per usual. This entire fucking project is a massive whisk that I have been willing to take. What I essentially need to do is get the non-melted butter and the icing sugar to become one, to unify, to unionize, if you will. Unionize the game industry. I need to get these two things to come together. They do not naturally want to come together. The icing sugar wants to just stick on top of the butter, and I'm like, no, you need to unite, and it's like, never heard of her, and I'm like, okay, so maybe, just maybe, a whisk was a bad idea at this early of a stage. This doohickey, this ain't a spoon. If it's a spoon, then I'm a llama, but that's what I'm using. And the worst thing about the general rule being that basically, however much butter you have, double the amount of icing sugar, is that it takes a fucking eternity to get these things to actually mix together when you don't have like any actual mixer that you're willing to take out. Yes, I may have a mixer in the cupboard, but also I am staying in a house where there are currently 4 other people trying to sleep in various parts of the house relatively nearby. No, I am not dragging out a mixer and making an approximate shitload of noise to make a whole bunch of buttercream icing. Like, no, I'm not about that life. I'm never going to be about that life. You're not going to make me be about that life. I'm infamous for trying to basically take up as little space, make as little noise, exist as little as is humanly possible. That would not vibe with making a shitload of noise just to make some buttercream icing. And yes, I do indeed do game development. I did it in college for about 3 years, and I'm about to move on to do even more of it in university, because apparently I don't like to move on from education, despite it betraying me at least twice, both times in 2016. That was a bad year. I do really love game development. However, during lockdown, I've not had the energy to do any game development, and so here I am instead, baking cookie cake 3:15 in the morning because I want to create things, but to do game development stuff when I feel like my skills are inferior to what is needed from me at this point in my educational life, and, you know, for my future career's sake. Yeah, I'm not really vibing with that. I've also been playing a lot of The Sims lately, which is why, you know, I referenced Lil Simsy earlier, because I don't even know if I'm going to keep that in the edit, but her and Plumbella, godsends for the time I've been killing here. I have a great deal of respect for both of them. Also, they both seem to deal with anxiety issues, which is like big mood, big relatable, and just seeing them deal with that and still be successful. And Lil Simsy is like a month older than me, which is like weird, but just to see them both being successful in spite of their anxiety problems and just other mental health issues that I'm sure they have going on. Sorry, I hear cat scratching at something scared the shit out of me. But watching them be successful when they have anxiety issues is very comforting. Not comforting, like reassuring, I guess. And there are also plenty of trans people out there that I look up to, but like I mentioned The Sims, which is why I specifically said them. Nice, this is starting to form a little bit more enticing. I know that it'll, like, y'all can't see shit, and I'm sorry. There is no good place I can put my phone. That's, again, one of the cats having a fun time over there. What the fuck did you just do? She really just walked away like nothing happened. We're investigating that. Well, I don't know if this was already broken before Knives made all that noise, but it sure is now. Nice going, Stinky. And now Big Stinky is here to cause more problems. I wasn't planning on using that bowl again anyways. There she go. You know when you just kind of have a moment TM and like your heart just feels heavy for some reason? Yeah, that's kind of what I've been going through the past. I have no perception of time. A month or so? Heart been feeling heavy for no good reason. No good reason apart from the world. But, you know, nothing in particular happened to make me feel that way, if that makes any sense. But I've just kind of been trying to distract myself with whatever little things I can find, because that's just kind of where I'm at. University starts like mid-September, and, you know, I have my birthday pretty much immediately before I go back, because, you know, usually I'd be happy about having a weekend birthday, but what's a weekend when every day you're sitting at home, you know? Like, I never do anything for my birthday anyways, but once again the camera cut out because I ran out of space on my phone. So, coming up Millhouse, almost done with the icing. So, we have that clump of icing there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate a little bit. I'm going to see what I can do with, like, you know, flavouring it with vanilla or chocolate or something like that. But the plain buttercream by itself is also very good. So, at 20 to 4 in the morning, I have a small amount of vanilla, small amount of chocolate flavoured, and just some base unflavoured icing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the unflavoured icing as the like sealant between the two layers of the cookie cake, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate the top with the chocolate and vanilla, because I am very indecisive, which is why I've not just like flavoured all of this as something, because you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna make this chocolate and vanilla. It's gonna taste like shit, but it's my disaster. I get to choose how it's a disaster. We now have our updated icing. It very much tastes like indecision incarnate, but I'm just rolling with it at this point. So now I'm gonna go and get the cakes, and we're gonna figure out how the fuck we're gonna ice this thing. So what I've done for the bottom cake is I've basically just taken off all the excessive edge bits, so that like when I put the other cake on top of it, then that one can have like her dramatic little crown flare out at the top, right? So what I've got to do is spread that on that so that we can get these cakes sticking together. Not gonna lie, I'm mildly terrified for this, but we're just gonna have to roll with it, whatever happens, because there are no backups, there are no second chances. The St. Nancy Drew. The edges, they were crunchy, and I say they were, but like they're still sitting there. They're crunchy, but the actual cake itself is delectably soft. And I know this because when I was ripping off the corners and made that decision without consulting any of you, not that any of you could stop me, when I was doing that, I obviously just tried it because it's there. Where else is it gonna go? In my ass? No. Why did I say that? It tastes really fucking good. Edges are crunchy, but the inside is really, really soft. So I basically just have to be careful when I'm spreading this because I don't want to like collapse the entire cake. Let me tell you, this is like, obviously right now the outside looks fucking horrendous because I obviously just fucking, like, I don't have any professional cake cutter thingies, so I just kind of went ham at it with a knife. So that's how I, you know, professionally took all of the edges off of the bottom layer so that I could have a more smooth appearance. But I don't know where that train of thought was going, but it stalled at the station, so it's ending there. She crumbly at the edges, so I gotta be careful. Still tastes like indecision incarnate, which is very appropriate if you know me in real life. She a bit ugly, but we love her anyway. So now I'm gonna try and find a way to more delicately put like around the bits of the edge that I can't really spread to without it risking falling apart. Turns out the answer was just a littler spoon. You need a big spoon and a little spoon to have a wonderful little cuddle together. I've never spooned anyone in my fucking life. Off to the side here, I'm just taking the other cake out of the wrapping paper? What is it? Merry Crisis? No, I'm taking it out of the baking paper. Oop, she's fallen. Fell apart a little bit, but I can deal with that. That was way more on center than I was expecting to get, so that's good. As you can tell, I definitely know what I'm doing, and I have definitely made a multi-tier cake before. Anyways, well, I now have that. She's holding on. She's holding on fairly well. Yes, this is basically just two fucking giant cookies stacked on top of each other, but it's fucking good. Anyways, I do have a piping bag that I can use for this next part, so I'm gonna go and try and figure that shit out. Have I ever used one before in my life? Absolutely not, so we're about to see how this goes. Don't mind me, I'm just shaking the water out of this because it's been sitting in our cupboard for a fucking long time, so I had to do a little bit of washing. Ooh, baby, she pretty. They're absolutely not consistent sizes, but I don't fucking care. Make your own horrendous baking video. It's so not symmetrical. Fuck me. Anyways, I'll hide the little knife stab point in the center with that, and I'll pretend that that is semi-competent. Make a string, apparently, if you do it slowly enough. Let's take advantage of that. This is ugly as sin. I hope you know this. You're not missing much with the angle that you're at. Hello again, Toffee. You're not missing much with the angle that you're at, I promise you. Hello. Anyways, I'm just gonna force the rest of this. Did I seriously manage to punch a fucking hole in this thing? I got lost in the sauce and managed to immediately fucking rip a hole in this goddamn thing. I have no other solution for this, and we have no other piping bags. Please actually go through the fucking hole. That's what she said. Nice. All the technique when you're working with broken equipment that kind of needs to really not be broken. Oh my fucking god, it's burst out of another part of it as well. But yeah, we're not getting very far because this poor thing is a goner. Improvise, adapt, overcome, y'all. I am beyond the point of caring. Caring and me are not in the same postcode anymore. Not at 4:20 in the morning, eh? I decided to finish that sordid affair off camera, considering that just turned into an absolute disastrous mess. But basically, that's what I managed to get on the cake. I'm sorry, it's ugly as sin. Voice breaks included, it is ugly as sin. She thick. She definitely thick. It's difficult to tell with that lighting. Any better from here? Absolutely fucking not. Still looks awful. But basically, that's the cake mostly done. It's mainly just a case of using up the rest of that icing to maybe ice up the sides to hide some of the ugly. See, this whole true gamer moment is when you just completely fuck something up, but you don't have a checkpoint to reload. Am I right, folks? Am I relatable yet? I have no idea how to do this. There's no good way for me to do any of this. You know, this entire vibe has basically me been winging it this entire time, but like I didn't expect icing it to go that wrong. I figured I would fuck up the piping somehow. I didn't expect it to be me breaking the bag. Yikes. But hey, you've somehow made it through this experience as well, and now you're watching finish it, so if you ever feel bad, if you ever feel bad about how some of your baking or cooking experiments go, just remember this. because, oh boy, she ugly. Me at myself pre-transition, not that I'm any better now, but you know, at least I ain't a she. And to clarify, hell yeah, women, but also hell no to me being one. Still like the taste of that icing at least. You know, everything looks like a hot pile of garbage, but it tastes slightly better than a hot pile of garbage. And yes, I'm also doing this to the cake on a fucking cooling rack because I don't have anything to really hold a cake, so I'm just winging it. Noticing a trend here, a theme perhaps. It definitely smells very cookie-like, and I can tell you obviously as well that it tastes it as well, but the smell is always important because if something smells naff, you're not gonna go for it, are you? You're gonna say that smells naff and be like, nope, not whisking it. Ugh, not risking it. You're gonna bail out real quicker than a white boy who thinks he might actually face consequences for his actions. It is 4:30 in the morning. Hey, I was at least right about the dramatic crown on top of this cake because of the fact that the cake tins I put the batter into were way too small, but I kind of knew that already. We have this tiny mess instead of a massive disaster. So listen. Dear God, that looks so bad. Well, I'm gonna go and fix this off camera. See what I can salvage, put it that way. So, she's not even in the same postcode as fixed. 1, I managed to move it to a plate by no small feat of physics. 2, I at least got some icing surrounding all sides of this disaster cake. And yes, she's very lopsided over here. But she's just like that, so don't looks so bad. But she's just like that, so don't judge her, please. I said don't judge her. How dare you? But yeah, I made a cookie cake for the first time and it looks fucking horrendous. But it tastes good, I swear. The scraps in the back say so. Anyways, that was an absolute disaster. But it's done. It's done. I have a cake, I have scraps, I even have spare icing. Not that I'm going to do anything with it. I got something edible out of it. That's about as much as I can say. Don't subscribe because this was a disaster. This is why I should stick to game dev.